So,
Oh,
interesting.
yes.
I got this thing that was sent to me in this LED light pad. Can you see it?
By who?
Design avocado. It's a design avocado. Design avocado. Online.
Design Avocado sent you the light tablet?
So I'm not going to be using it right now, but I just wanted to show everybody. They sent it to me in order to kind of
Try it out.
and post about it. So
Design Avocado.
Design avocado, yeah. And
Now I think that...
I know, you can hear the meme all the time.
I know, now I can hear it. Greetings from the desert.
Oh, nice.
Someone's
Which desert?
I don't know.
So, yeah. I'll get it properly. So,
Dude, it's pretty.
thin.
It is super skinny.
It is. It's the slimmest. I have a Huion light pad, but this one is probably half as thick. If you can see this. I almost never use a light pad for the low light settings, so that's pretty much what I use it for. This one has a touch. It's basically touch goes up and down. It seems to be pretty good. It flickers a little bit on the lower setting, but on the brighter setting, which is the one I use all the time anyway, it's stable and very, very well lit. It seems like it goes through paper pretty well in terms of...
Chicago, Detroit, apparently Colorado is a desert.
Oh.
Probably the only thing yes, it is a desert. Oh, and from Perth,
Australia.
Western Australia.
Nice. That's cool. So this is nothing but like a sketch really, but I can show you what it looks like going through paper.
We are not Chicago artists.
And normally I would turn off all these lights, but a lot of times it's more beneficial to trace something, if you're going to trace your sketches or whatever onto a different piece with a light on, so that you can still see the lines, but you can actually draw into it as you work.
Right.
If it's all dark and the only thing you can see is what the lines are that you're transferring. But if I do, like these sketches, when I do this, they're so like unformed, malformed, if you want to do different word. But there's so little there that a lot of times I don't really necessarily want the detail of the lines. I just want to like placement, right?
Yeah.
So I can see the basic stuff, but then you can just draw on top of it. I'll play with it, and for a bit, and then at the end of it, I'm supposed to
Design Avocado.
Design avocado. If you go online, they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. And the first thing I noticed about it was this is probably the most portable one I've ever seen, because it's so thin.
Right.
I mean, this thing you might even want to put it like in a bigger drawing pad because it is so thin.
It is very thin, and it came to us with the
packaging was sort of destroyed, but the thing itself is.
It was fine, but it was like I think that package is bent.
Yeah.
And it was.
And the bending of the package made the board itself bend just a slight amount, but it's mostly straightened back out, and it's so thin it doesn't really matter anyway. But like if I'm gonna go somewhere and I need to take something to work with me traveling, I'll likely take this instead of even the Huion, which is also thin, but not as thin as this. And this is just so super light. It's not much heavier than just a piece of cardboard at this. I guess you could equate it to a piece of plexiglass at this size, because that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
It's a piece of like plexi
yeah.
that's being lit by LEDs. I'm guessing from this side here. It's projecting through it, kind of like a fiber optic cable would.
All right.
So, but anyway, so there's that. Which,
Jeff MCC says he used his cell phone in a pinch as a tiny light table.
Oh yeah, you can do that. They actually even have like camera obscuras you can use for cell phones if you're into that kind of transfer too.
Yeah.
Where you can project it over your image and have a drawing, and then look at your camera, your phone, and lay it out. What do you do?
Well, it was.
Oh, I haven't done anything yet. So.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
And this is going as well. So what did we do between this week and last week?
I don't know, what did you do? I got some orders out, and
I did some concept work.
Yes, that's true.
Mostly that's what I did, is some concept work for a film project that's in progress.
Yes, and then I know I did something.
Well,
other than the orders.
You did a yard sale kind of a thing.
Yeah. I got up at the crack of dawn this morning, and because we had our community yard sale, and then it was freaking 93 degrees here. So.
Because it's Mississippi.
Oh my God! It was so fucking hot. Oh, I do not draw. I do all the left brain side of the business, and he does the right brain side of the business. Someone asked if I drew.
Don't let her deny that fact that she can draw.
Deny anything.
Yeah, she did get a degree in interior design, so she's had to draw things before, and I've seen her do it. So, but
greetings from New York.
New York. I want to go to New York. I need a reason to come to New York. Whoever's in New York, give me a reason to come to New York.
Dominican Republic.
Oh, there too? I want to go.
Brazil.
I want to go everywhere.
Kansas, middle of nowhere.
Everywhere occasionally we go to Kansas though, don't we?
That's
we go
true.
through Kansas for Spectrum.
Spectrum is in Kansas. You can see a bunch of really cool. They are partnering with
that other convention. It's not what is it called?
It's not in the top of my brain.
Yeah,
Apache Junction.
This year, Spectrum SFAL Spectrum Fine Arts Live is partnering with a convention in Kansas, so it's going to be a big show, I think.
Someone asked if you could draw with your left hand.
I probably could, but I think if I decided that I couldn't draw with my right hand, I would be able to do it. It would just take a little bit of time to get used to it, because I draw so slowly anyway that
You're not gonna you're gonna actually. Oh, Italy and Mexico and New Zealand, New York, everyone's from everywhere.
You could argue that
Come for the pigeons.
You could argue that if I draw with my left hand, it doesn't look any different because of the way that I draw. So I'm just, obviously comfortable this way. But if you use a maul stick, by the way, it sort of alleviates that whole left-handed thing that people say when they smudge drawings because they're drawing left-handed. But if you start drawing with a maul stick, it helps a lot for not doing that. Yeah.
That and your lights would be on the other side there too.
Yeah, because as it is, I have my light coming from this direction, so my hand doesn't.
Put your left hand up there again. It was like
so it's like that. But
Argentina.
Cool. Argentina's cool. I have yet to ever travel to a place in the world that I didn't find the country cool that I was traveling in. And the people, beautiful, by the way. So.
Come to Australia for the amazing flora and fauna.
You know what? I have my brother-in-law's from Australia, and he and my sister-in-law just came back from Australia for a while, and that would be a great place to go.
They were there for what, 6 weeks or something?
Yeah.
Ireland
would be great. I might.
Mexico, Washington.
I did that thing that everybody is. I guess a lot of people are doing it now, where you do like your genetic testing and all that, and found out that I am primarily from Scotland and Ireland. My genetics are primarily Scottish, Irish, and European in general.
All those little just popped up.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Chile. Iran says hello.
Wow, that's cool.
No, everywhere.
Hello, Iran. Everybody's cool. It's awesome when people come in.
We always have fun when we're traveling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We definitely, try to be the quiet travelers and try not to.
Except we're lost.
Unless we're lost.
Quietly. Yeah. No, we just quietly.
It's okay to be. You know what? When you don't have any clue where you're going, it's really difficult to get lost. So I usually just go and it doesn't matter if I'm lost in a foreign country, as long as, as long as I end up someplace cool, it's fine.
You aren't late. We just started like 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. And I don't have any idea what this is. I just picked up a random rough sketch that I had playing in that was in my book, and I'll let it turn into something.
What paper are you on?
This is just
medium weight,
plain old medium surface, regular surface Strathmore 400 series paper. I actually used the smooth for a long time, but I kind of like the textural quality of the regular surface a little bit better, and because I got it, I left behind this old notion that I had that I wanted everything to look smooth. Because when I was younger, I drew a lot with like super hard leads,
9H
pencils. I had 9H. I still have that same 9H pencil is over in my box. Because you only have to sharpen a 9H pencil once ever. because it doesn't really wear down. But,
I think you have like 10, like a pack of 9H pencils that you've never had to use.
And 8H.
You don't even use
it's
any
more like
H's.
it's more like drawing with silver point at that time, you know, because it's so hard.
Oh, you can see through that fine with it.
Oh yeah. So
Design
I'm going to mention
avocado.
it again.
Now, of course, I can't think of anything other than
avocado.
because what does that mean?
I showed her the meme where the woman pronounces friash avocado, and it's so funny. But design avocado is pretty awesome. I mean, it's if you go to they have a site if you Google it.
Which one is it?
It's
ABC.
Yeah, I think this is A4 size, the A4 size paper. Since most everybody on our feed is from across the sea, they'll know what A4 means more than most of the U.S. people do.
Yes, Japan says hello.
So hello, Japan. But
do you remember when we were in Germany?
Oh yeah,
it took us forever to get out of that parking deck.
Yep, because we didn't know what Einfahrt meant. So. It took a while. We had to sit in the parking deck in Germany until we figured out to just watch where everybody went and then just follow them. Yeah. So
God, we're scared.
Germany was great because we went down the Mosel Valley. Remember?
Yeah.
We did a driving trip down the Mosel Valley and
BC before children.
Yeah, and it was great fun. And man, all the Germans, they were so nice to us.
Everybody's always been nice to us.
Everywhere I've gone.
Doesn't matter where we go.
Yep, everybody's been nice. So, yeah, if this looks a little confusing to you, you don't feel alone because I don't really have any idea what it is right now. I'm just playing with it.
Never have any idea. Oh, Austin, Texas says hello.
Hey, Austin. Austin is cool.
What is that pad you are drawing on top of? So Alan is doing a...
It's basically the people from Design Avocado sent me this pad to try out and to post about online. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So I have had previous, light pads and stuff. I have a Huion, which it's bigger, but it's also much thicker. This pad is very, very light. This is a nice travel pad. On the lower, it does the lower light settings. It tends to flicker a tad on the lower light settings, but I don't really personally ever use lower light settings anyway. I only ever use the brightest one. But if you do use the lower light settings, you would want to try it out and see what you think about it. But in terms of its price, it's also, from what I can see online, much cheaper than almost any other A4 size light pad that
really
I've found.
Light, flexible.
Yeah, it's very, very tiny. It's very, very thin. Yeah.
Greetings from Poland.
Oh, greetings, Poland. I still want to go to Poland. Isn't that where Sanok is? The gallery in Sanok, the Beksinski Gallery is in Poland, I think. Am I wrong?
You are probably not wrong.
I think I am. I think I'm right.
I haven't specifically looked that up.
I think Sanok, the city Sanok is in Poland, right? And that's where the big Beksinski Gallery is. I really would like to. I feel like it would be a pilgrimage to go to that gallery because I have been enamored of his work for so long now. So this is something that I do a lot when I'm doing concept work. I'll do.
And yes, you're right.
I'll
that
do.
Is correct.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yay! I was geographically correct.
Do you use reference for this type of drawing? No,
not this type. No, I use I use that whole your subconscious figuring out what's going on before you get there kind of thing, like a Rorschach test. Because I put the sketch underneath it, and then I'm just drawing whatever it was suggested by that sketch right now to me, and at some point I start, like I have a few...
You aren't following the lines.
No, I'm actually deviating from them now, but there's certain lines that I started with that came from the drawing.
Hello from Jordan, the Middle East.
Jordan, hello Jordan. And that's the thing. When I do a lot of concept work, I'll do this multiple times with an image, and I end up, without even trying, making multiple iterations because I don't try to be too tight with the drawing. So I'll end up doing the same drawing three or four times. And each time there are some significant differences because I'll see that sometimes I'll even layer the sketches on top of each other behind the paper, which is really helpful. You'd have to turn these lights off if I'd started doing that because the paper would get
too
darker.
Bright, yeah, because you'd be able to see it easily. And
then if you want to do a symmetrical image, obviously all you have to do is start off with some line work on one side, put your paper over it and redraw it, and then flip the bottom sheet over and do it for symmetry. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So a lot of times you can.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I bet they do too.
Well, yeah, you know, it's.
Although
but-
I know you're shorthand.
Yeah. But
So, then we went swimming this afternoon. Boy, I'm
you did.
tired tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't go swimming. I didn't feel like getting in the water today.
Oh my
but-
gosh, it was perfect. It's beautiful.
So, even though this is kind of, I haven't really done a lot of sketchy stuff on the live feeds, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And if I get to a certain point, what I'll do is put another piece of paper on top of this one, and then start refining the lines. And every time it goes through that process, it breeds a slight alteration in the design, and I have to always
Right.
determine if I want to keep that or want to go back or change it.
Which is why you get the giant stack of sketches.
Right, which you can see over there.
Yes, I saw that.
Those are all of the sketches and stuff that I actually want to get to, in terms of my personal work.
So he keeps them organized.
So-
they were on the floor earlier today until I finally was like, oh. Since there were finished drawings in there,
Yeah, well,
I wanted to go like,
One of the I'm getting off of my shortcoming is coming back to drawing.
no. You're coming. Oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah. So one
I'm
of the
just
things that
teasing
that made an impact on me was early when I was in art history. One of the first things that they said was repetition breeds abstraction. So the more you copy, yourself, the more you copy a design and redraw it, the more you're likely to change it. And so that's essentially the theory behind iterating for any kind of concept thing. At least once you get to a certain point and you're exploring a narrower design element.
Right.
I mean, when you're at the beginning and it's all blue sky, you just do as many wildly different things as you can or want to. And blue sky, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, is a term that they do use in concept art, which means there's no limitations on what you can try to design.
draw what you like.
Yeah, it's basically draw what you like until we settle on something, and then you start narrowing it down, which is a lot different actually than how I work through things myself. Because for myself, I could easily fall into this right now and start rendering it and be fine with it. In fact, I might by the end of the thing, but we'll see. But because I trust myself to be able to compose. Well, I mean, obviously this is a central figure. It's not hard to compose a central figure, and a lot of concept art ends up being done this way. In terms of composition, they're not looking for perfectly composed pieces, although if you're a concept artist, you want to do whatever you can to sell your idea as well as you can. Mm-hmm. So keeping an idea of composition and body position and dynamic movement and stuff in mind is not a bad thing.
Right. Someone asked if you ever thought about doing your powdered graphite pieces as a griselle. Did I say that right?
Griselle? Was an underpainting. Yeah. Actually, I've done it to a limited degree where I've used the powdered graphite and then sealed it and then went back over it with some
Oil?
monochromatic oil. I haven't done it bringing it to basically full color yet, but I feel like you could, because I've seen people do black and white griselle before.
Oh. And Anya says she just poured resin over her first clayboard piece.
Oh, yeah?
Email when it dries.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you for sharing your techniques.
Yeah, the art resin, obviously you want to pick a good resin that says it doesn't yellow, because there are some, like production resins, that will yellow over time, and it's okay if it does, because I mean, who doesn't like the aged look of a drawing? I mean, I think that's one of the more beautiful aspects of seeing some older drawings. But you just need to know whether it's going to happen or not and plan for it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Art resin claims that it is non-yellowing, but you can get a bad batch of it every now and then, and it'll still yellow. But you should, it'll still be good, because I think they've gone pretty far in formulating a non-yellowing.
Well, you've never had a batch of art resin yellow.
I've never had any of it ever yellow, and everybody that I know that uses it on top of paintings and with their painting process has not had a problem. I just wanted to make sure that whoever's using it is aware that problem does exist for some people when they get a bad batch of it, like an improperly mixed batch of it.
How do you sharpen your pencils?
I usually. Yeah, coffee notes. I usually will sharpen. I use this Carl Angel 5 quite a bit because
Only
it's
on
all
his
metal.
belly. Wait, they can't see past your arm.
It's on my belly. I always
Still can't see it.
It's right here. It's a Carl Angel 5, and I put it on my stomach because I lean back a lot when I draw. It's horrible for my posture.
Horrible for your posture.
So
I don't know why my back hurts.
But you can see that it makes a nice, this is a pretty sharp point.
Crazy point.
There's a little lead stop in here. I've mentioned it before.
Yes.
That you have to file off, or it'll stop the lead at a more blunt stage.
Yeah.
But in lieu of that, I use these all the time too, because when my pencils start getting too short to use that, I'll start using these are the
Cume?
Yeah.
You put it under the light.
It's a KUM. This is called an automatic, and they're long points. So you take one side, strips
Stop
off.
moving it.
One side strips off the wood, and the other side sharpens the lead. So.
So there's two.
Yeah. This is probably the best handheld sharpener.
There you go.
That you can get.
Yep.
What?
There you go.
So.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, and you can actually, they come with 2 extra blades, and you can actually buy replaceable blades. The blades are, a couple of bucks a piece or whatever. So, half the time it seems more efficient just to buy a new sharpener, depending on where you're at. But,
yes.
But
someone says, this method reminds me of digital drawing in different layers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of is, I guess you could say.
Someone else said, most concept artists go to do digitally. What does it take to be a traditional concept artist, if that's possible?
I almost everything that I've done in terms of concept work has been done traditionally, with the exception of, I did a lot of digital stuff in Star Trek Beyond. Most of the time when people see my work, they are looking at the work that I have done in the past, and they want it to look like it did previously. They don't want something, that's significant, that looks like a different person did it, and they know that I'm doing pencil work. So I've never had a problem with anybody ever saying, we really need you to work digitally, but they do need digital receipt of the files. So you do have to scan everything in and send it to them digitally.
You don't send physical things to people.
Now, most of the time when I'm hired remote, they don't ask for the original drawings. They only just want the digital files. And if I sent them the original drawings, they just end up in a landfill somewhere.
Probably.
With the exception of Guillermo del Toro. He likes to keep everything.
Did you try the Masterpiece Cume? Can you
I have
remove the sharpener from?
Yep, I have it. I have the Masterpiece. It's over there somewhere, or it's around here somewhere. The Masterpiece is great because it's like indestructible basically. I find that for some reason the metal ones, the Masterpiece ones, don't make the same precise point that the plastic ones do. I don't know why. It looks like it's set up almost exactly the same way. And I love them because they still make a good, they'll make a point as good as this is right now. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely good enough. But if you're like obsessive with needlepoint, you want your pencil to like slip out of your hand and into another dimension. That kind of point where it'll just cut through space and time. It's a little...
Where you can get the line work that no one can actually see.
Well, yeah.
With the naked eye.
It's only important, if it's important to you, because it doesn't make much difference. Because half the time I'll sharpen my pencil by, running it along a piece of paper like this, like as if it's a piece of sandpaper, and that makes it a needle point as well, right?
Right.
So I started doing this in like elementary school, and I've never stopped. When I don't have a pencil sharpener next to me, I'll just sit here and do this with the lead until it looks like a long tapered piece of paper. Yeah.
Here's a rather. We have a question and an answer from someone.
Okay.
What advice do you have for a part-time artist trapped in the corporate world wanting to make the leap to self-employed full-time artist? And someone suggested that wait until your art brings in more than 50% of your regular job.
That's not a bad answer. I kind of went the opposite direction for a while. I was actually a self-employed artist who decided at one point that, hey, what would it be like to go corporate for a while? And I went into a game company and did it for a while. I found that in order to keep myself sane, I would work at the company all day and then come home and work for like another 5 hours at night on my own stuff, which drove my wife and my kids insane because it was like I was constantly working. But it was a great learning experience because I learned that there are some corporate environments that I don't really thrive well in, and some of that mobile gaming stuff that I got involved in San Francisco, they wanted me to do a lot of stuff that I didn't really want to do, and I guess you could say I was spoiled coming from a background of having worked for myself for so long. So rather than sit there and drive everybody crazy by being crabby and bitchy about the job that I didn't like, I decided to get out of it and let somebody else have a chance at doing a job that they might like, and make a space. So I left. It sounds like I did that out of generosity, but I basically just did it because it wasn't for me.
Yeah, you don't want him to get crabby and bitchy.
No, and I don't really. I mean, to me, I get when I get upset, I get quiet, more quiet than I already am, which is really only noticeable if you live with me, I guess. But
when we are done, you have.
But what I would do is, if I was trying to get out of a job like that, I would spend all of the time that I could on my own work, and I would literally try to produce the kind of work that like nobody can pay you to do at that time. Like whenever I have a gap in contract work, which since I do a lot of my own work nowadays, I don't really have gaps because I always have my own work to do, and I consider that my major work. But when I was working more freelance, I would when I didn't have freelance work to feed me, I would just blow it out and do the best possible pieces I could that like nobody at that time who would hire me to do. Like nobody at that time would.
No one's going to pay you for 3 weeks worth of work
right
on a piece.
And I would spend as much time on it as I possibly could get away with, so that it would look as good as I possibly could. Because
it totally looks like a head and a face.
Right, this yeah it does, and I kind of started emphasizing that now.
Fritz Kira said something. I really love your drawings. I wish you could vlog your shows or a day in your life sometime. It would really be interesting, especially for us artists who look up to you. I'll do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we
say,
could...
here he is on the couch.
Yeah.
Or he sits in his chair drinking coffee.
I do. I go back and forth from, like, working in here to working on the couch in the living room to just, like, lately we've just been sitting around, like, in between times watching Doctor Who.
It's true.
We've been binge watch. My daughter... who is 10, has really just gotten really connected with Doctor Who lately, and she's just in love with it. So, and I like Doctor Who from a standpoint of being a parent, because Doctor Who is in love with the entirety of humanity, and I think that's just a great thing for people to express.
All right, here's one we have. Why do boobs get more likes than art?
Oh, because it appeals to the the 15-year-old in every human being there. And physical stuff is easy to recognize, and it's something that relates to most people's psychology, I guess you could say. That's always been the case.
It always has.
That people will. If you're in a gallery and somebody were to go streaking through the gallery naked, it's the person that's running through the gallery naked that's going to get the most people to look at it. But it's because I can say this from experience, because I started my artistic life as I did a lot of pinup.
Yes.
So I was one of those people that did a lot of drawings of boobs and stuff, and I at one point decided that it would be more challenging to do, rather than to paint something or draw something that had to do with sexuality, to try to get involved in sensuality of the drawing itself.
Or agency.
And that's one thing that I got lucky, I guess, early on, that the one thing I always, even in my pinup work, I kind of demanded of the work that I was doing was that the females had agency, that they had power, that they were, like warriors. But there was a point where I got, I just drawing a simple form, like a naked woman. I don't want to say that it was boring, but it did get repetitive, and I'd rather draw them in the context of something else now, in the context of their own story.
It's just you changed what you like to draw.
Yeah,
there's some people that continuously do pinup, and that's fine.
I actually still love to look at pinup. I just it wasn't something that drove me to draw all the time.
Right. After
a point, I still love to do figurative work, but I don't really think of it as pinup now, because I'm not looking at it from a. I think the word is a prurient standpoint, it's not the figurative work I do isn't intended to cause a sexual response. It's intended, I guess, to cause a more visual and intellectual response.
Yes. I want to do, now back to the other question about a video blog of your...
Oh.
Yeah, okay. I have to say...
It's much like this, for one thing.
First of all, it's 9:36. Yeah. Our website is up. You may order things on it. It's AllenWilliamsStudio.com. Our YouTube channel, these will eventually get uploaded there, is at Allen Williams Studio. And our Patreon page is back and moving, and that is patreon.com/Allen Williams. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us here.
And we have a Twitch channel now.
And we're going to start streaming on Twitch, which is the same tag as here, I_just_draw. But I was going to what he likes, his favorite thing to do first thing in the morning is, since he usually, I'm up at 5:30 and you'll get up a little later once the kids are at school and everything like that, is he likes videotaping me and scaring the shit out of me every freaking morning. I
have roughly 20 or 30 little videos of me
10-second shorts
scaring the crap out of her when I come out of my room every morning.
Going, hi!
Yeah. So I'm going to post those too when I can compile them.
But I want a montage between that and you sitting on the chair drinking a coffee, you making a coffee, drawing, making another coffee, sitting on the chair, drawing more.
True.
Drawing.
And lately I've been in my studio listening to audiobooks as I work. So
someone asked if you listen to music, but half the time it's audiobooks.
I do listen to music quite often too, but I go into these periods where I'll listen to I pick audiobooks based on length. And right now I'm listening to It, the unabridged version of It, which is 44 hours long, which is awesome because then you can just. I find that I can almost stay up, straight up 24 hours if I'm listening to a good audiobook because it's engaging different parts of my brain, and I get a lot of work done.
I like that pace.
It's interesting. It just
the pencil he is using is a Tombow Mono 100
with an Alvin pencil extender. These are just Alvin aluminum pencil extensions. Oh,
sorry.
Bless
Excuse
you.
me.
Bless you.
And how do you archive your drawings? Do you scan and photograph them? Yes.
Yes, everything.
Not everything in the pile over there.
No, but everything that gets finished gets scanned theoretically. Sometimes we miss it.
Sometimes it doesn't get scanned until after I framed it, and then I have to rip it out of the frame and scan it.
Which has happened before.
Yes.
So.
Oh, favorite audiobooks?
I listen to a lot of horror, and I've also gone through a science fiction phase. Where I was listening to like Ender's Game and things like that.
Melted Rabbit?
Huh?
I was just thinking someone.
I do tend to focus and do a lot of horror books though, which is great because I'm up at night and we live kind of we have a wooded backyard and
creepy window
crap hits the window all night long, So I'm listening to some audiobook like, I have listened to a lot of Stephen King stuff as well.
You don't listen to a lot of podcasts though. People are asking what's your recommendations for podcasts.
Oh, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts actually. I just haven't gotten into the habit of that. I probably will at some point, just because I run out of...
I wonder if it's different between, like, a book is one story that can go for 44 hours, whereas, like, a podcast is almost like a conversation. And if it would, I don't know.
Right.
I have to see.
I'd give it a shot. I'm sure there's a lot of great podcasts out there. And if I do start listening to them, I definitely will. If I find cool ones, I'll tell you which ones they are.
Oh, someone said the art grind is good.
Yes,
someone asked about scanners. If you want a good quality scan, you are going to have to spend some money.
Yeah.
The $100 scanner, which you sometimes have brought on jobs.
I have a USB scanner that a lino scan. I think Canon makes it, that I'll take with me to scan line art when I'm on a concept art job. But for my personal work, when I need to archive stuff and it needs to really have the most quality it can, I don't think there's anything out there that beats Epson scanners, but they are very expensive. I get used ones usually on eBay. I have an Epson 11,000 Expression 11,000 XL, and used it was about $500, but it's a tabloid size, so it's like 12 by 18.
Yeah. Tell them about the whole scan thing.
Well,
the middle of the scanner.
So when I first started scanning, I had to learn a lot about color correction and what actually constitutes a good scan, because when I started, the best scans came from drum scanners, right?
Yes, because we're old.
And professional flatbed scanners, like Eversmart Jazz was the company that made it.
$20,000 scanners.
Cytec scanners.
Right.
At the time, $50,000 scanners. But the difference was, and to a great degree still is, that any consumer scanner that you buy that's like not made for like a graphics industry, like that are super expensive, any of the consumer scanners only have pure resolution down the center of the scan bed. Most of the time, it's not going to make much of a difference unless you're scanning something that's
very
super
detailed
and small, and you're going to blow it up large. You'll notice it once you blow it up. But like, say, if a scanner says it'll do 1200, DPI optical, which is the actual resolution is 1200.
Yeah.
It only does it down the center of the scanner. And you can tell if your scanner does this if you have the attachments so you can scan slides, and it says put them in the center of the scanner. So if it says put them in the center of the scanner,
then the outside's going to look like crap.
Well, chances are that
not really.
Any consumer scanner is only going to have pure resolution in the center no matter what.
Gotcha.
Because, like I said, the ones that have full flatbed resolution, they tend to be very much more expensive.
Right.
And the best ones, like I said, that I found are the Epson ones. The new, you can get a smaller, like an 8.5 by 11 Epson, for not too much, I don't think. I mean, a few $100s. But the current version of the one that I have, the Epson Expression that they're selling right now, it's like $2,500 for that scanner.
Right. Now, years ago, what was the Mustech?
No, the first one I started with was Umax. I had a Umax scanner that was really good. But like I said, even that, and it took me a long time to find this, because they don't really say this a lot online. I got the information from other professionals that were working in the graphics industry, that even those Umax scanners at, I think it was $1,500 when I bought it, and it was tabloid size, even those only had pure resolution down the center. I will say that for the most part, it doesn't matter. If you're scanning a full-size image, and unless it's a really crappy scanner if it just bleeds off to the edge and turns blurry. That's not a good scanner at all. Any regular scanner will give you a decent piece of line art you could take into Photoshop or something and
clean it up a little bit.
Clean up, yeah. But if you really want good archival scans of your images, you're going to want something that is probably going to cost you a bit.
Yeah. Anya asked, can I go get something scanned professionally somewhere?
Oh, definitely.
Because she can afford per scan. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
We actually, and his larger pieces, at one point you did a 3 foot by 6 feet paintings.
I did.
And we had photographs done of them.
They used digital medium format cameras to do it, and it was
handed
they
us
were
discs
using,
for them.
They were using like a 24 or 36 megapixel medium format digital cameras, which are different than the regular ones that you buy, like a Nikon. If you don't know, medium formats have bigger sensors on the back, and those cameras by themselves can cost $50,000. I think you can get one now for in the 20 grand range or whatever.
And they that was early 2000s,
right?
We lived Northeast Ohio.
But you can have somebody take a photograph of that and use those things, or even use a flatbed, because there are places that have large flatbeds now.
So Anya, depending on where you live, you can find someone to do professional scans for you.
Yeah. So, and in fact, that's probably what I would do if I needed professional scans and didn't want to go out and go through the expense of buying a new scanner.
Or if you're in the area, you could reach out to other artists in the area and see someone who has. Because for a while, your scanner was dying. Mm-hmm. We lived 20 minutes from. We were in the Bay Area.
Stephanie,
Stephanie Law. She's at Shadowscapes, or Steph Law here.
She's the reason actually I bought this, was because she had a version of this scanner.
I would go over to her house on Wednesdays and bring his latest piece, and she would scan it for us.
Yep.
And throw it on a USB drive or flash drive.
if you do go online to buy one and find one like on eBay, like an older version of the XL, just pay attention to whether or not it's SCSI or not, because like I'm PC now, but those old Expressions only had SCSI connectors, and so you would have to get an adapter for that. To be able to use it.
Yes.
And the adapters can cost up to a couple $100s by themselves.
Yeah, really. So you haven't saved anything.
Right. Well, it's still cheaper than buying an Expression new.
That's true.
But if this one died, I would look for a replacement on eBay before I would go and buy a new one, though. Mm-hmm. And I am apt to just buy a new one, but I wouldn't do that, because I know these scanners are so good. and they last a long time. Really, it takes a lot of. Unless you have a defective one, it doesn't usually just go bad all of a sudden.
No, we had that one for what, 12 years or something.
The
'Cause
Umax?
we did,
Yeah, I had that for a long time, and then one day I went to scan something on it, and it started screaming. Like it sounded like a human screaming. And
like, oh, Stephanie's in my be dick and doing some of us dance. Do you find? Sorry, you guys. There's like a bunch of questions going by, and I haven't hit all of them. Blind Code here. It said, "It's Steven. It was nice to talk to you at Dragon Con."
Oh, cool.
You just didn't get to stop by and get a sketchbook. You can always order one online. He signs all the ones that I send out and everything.
Yeah, Dragon Con was a fun show, and it doesn't surprise me if you couldn't get around to everybody, because it's also a very large show now.
And well, no, Steven said that he did talk to you.
Oh, did he? Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said.
And see your names, so we're not gonna know who's who, because X White says, "Hey, I wanted to say thank you for your advice you gave me at Dragon Con."
Oh, well,
but I don't know who that is because people's tag names aren't the same.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate the thank you.
And Melted Rabbit asked, "Do you find you focus on drawings better at night?" I've always have, but it's such a struggle because they fatigue quicker. And
I got used to being on a night schedule. I guess a long time ago, and I do like to work more at night, and mainly it's because it's like, obviously it's pitch black outside. I hang out with my kids and my family for a while, but they go to bed, and then I'm up for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours,
barging in,
and it's just pure focus.
Hey, no one poking at them,
right?
Telling them, what the hell is this?
Well, you don't do that much anymore.
No, I don't.
So.
I don't know what you're doing. I kind of like that.
But yeah, I definitely find that I work better at night, and no matter how many times I've tried so far to go on a day schedule, I'll do it for a while, but it's like I slowly start to gravitate.
You're not completely on a night schedule right now.
No, right now I've been going to bed between 3 and 4 in the morning, and getting up at around noon, 11.
As hard as it is for me to say this, because you've got that stuck in my mind.
What?
You're working on top of the design avocado.
Design avocado.
No, avocado.
No, it's design. I know, it's design avocado.
We're not making fun of their name.
No,
he has showed me this stupid meme because they like, and now I can't. And then when you opened the package, you said that. I was like, what is the name of their company? And he goes, no, I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
So it's Design Avocado, this light box. So you can see.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's working. It's working fine. And from what I can tell, looking at the products they have online, it's less expensive than other similarly sized light boxes. I would definitely use this, especially if I were traveling or had limited space. It's super thin and light. And
very light. And it's not the Huon, which you really like, but
right.
it's glass, isn't it?
No, it's still plexi
or
Lexar, or whatever this is, but it's thicker. And I still like it, but like I said, this to me would be a perfect traveling one,
especially on
And I mean, they did send this to me for free. But I don't hopefully you don't think that I would advocate it if I didn't think there was some value in it. I just wouldn't have done a review of it. I would just probably go. They sent it to me for free, and I feel bad about it or whatever. I don't feel bad about it because I think it's a good thing. I think it's an actual really good product, and it's one of those products that I feel like is appropriately inexpensive because it is a piece of plexiglass, with a white back, and it's got like this dotted pattern, which is kind of cool. It doesn't seem to because the other one I have is just a pure white sheet. It doesn't seem to change it too much, in terms of having projected light coming through something.
I bet that's on the backside.
Yeah, and I think that.
No, do you think the dotted pattern's on the backside to give it a backing? No, it's got. I don't know.
But I think it works fine. I think it works great. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the price, it actually comes out on top of a lot of the other ones just because it's so much cheaper. I'm not sure what the shipping would be if you actually bought one because I think this ships from China. I'm not entirely sure, but I think the package we got from this came from China, didn't it? I believe it did. Okay. But
He's looking at me, and I went.
So I don't know what shipping would be like on something like this. But anyway.
Do you know it's 9:51 already?
Really? I feel like we've talked a lot about this light pad.
No. Oh my God! Have you ever dreamed with any of your figures?
I don't have super weird surreal dreams. I do have like concepts. Things that happen to me in dreams, or they tend to be lucid when I do dream weird dreams. I tend to know that I'm dreaming, or I tend to find. And this is one of those things that like sometimes people ask, and it's a little iffy to tell people what happens in your dreams. But I sometimes find people that act as if they were like teachers in my dreams.
Oh.
I'll find a lot of people in characters in my dreams that will like. It's like you've discovered like the dreaming city of Kadath or something, and you're going through it, and they're teaching you something.
Thank you, Barbara. Good to Nocturne Dolly was here. Barbara.
Oh, cool.
Do you read? Yeah. Well, usually you audiobook.
I do audiobooks because I can multitask with audiobooks. I will sometimes put movies on because especially if it's something I've seen before, because I can just kind of ignore it and listen to it. Yeah. But my preferred thing to do is audiobooks because I can listen to a story, and it occupies an entirely different part of my brain than what I'm doing here. So you can see what I've got here, and it is turning into kind of a character, an entity of some sort. And what I started with was that.
Put it back in front again. Can you put them side by side? That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Here, I'll turn this off for a second, and you can see it better.
Neat.
So, and this was initially a sketch, and it had some indication lines like these. I'm pretty sure that those were supposed to be arms, and these were supposed to be legs when I did it. But then when I threw it on top of it, this looks more human to me.
Right.
And this looks less human. Like this would have, I'm guessing what I was doing here was a multi-armed, multi-legged, three-headed human. And then it turned into this.
Yeah.
In the end. So, and that's actually, I like doing that a lot. Now if I did it again, I would take this drawing and I might actually scan it in and print it out black and white, like darker, and then lay this on top of it and start an entirely new one and go back and I would simplify a lot of these wiggly stuff that you see here, and I would refine the line quality. And
what I like about this one though is it looks like it has three heads here.
Right. And so but that also means that I can go back to this one
and do a different thing,
redefine it, and make it a more figuratively human piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
very cool.
And like if you looked at this, you might like as I was doing it, I was like it would look kind of cool if it actually had kind of these low hanging, like sort of wing shapes, It would come off of it, so that you could tell it was some sort of like fallen, like a fallen angel or some sort of divine creature.
Yeah.
So I had that kind of going in my head as I was doing it, because to me, when I first looked at this, I saw this as a human head, and these as the backs of the sides of wings that were folded behind them.
Oh.
But
and
then
I read them as heads. Or did you put those in there?
I think that actually I meant them as heads too, because I would never draw foreshortened wings like that intentionally, because it would essentially look like two human heads. So.
How many sketches do you think someone would have to do to be a professional artist?
All of them. That's a smart-ass answer. I'm just saying that you have to do a lot.
All of them.
A lot.
A lot.
You need to. I mean, you don't. There's no terminal figure in terms of how many sketches do I need to do these things.
Yes.
It's you just have to just keep drawing. There's no end to it.
Right.
When they talk about how many hours you put in on something to become good at it, that's a guideline to when you're proficient to me. Because if it's something that you're trying to master, you will never stop doing it. So if you say that I'm going to master this thing, then you must keep in mind that you're likely never going to stop doing it.
Right.
And there's not like I'm going to do this for 10,000 hours.
And ta-da! It all goes well after 10,000 hours.
I understand the nature of that question, because and the nature of why they give the information like that, because they're saying this is a baseline for becoming a professional at it.
Right.
But it's only I only feel like
if you work with intention. Also,
right. You do have to. Well, yeah, you do have to have an intent behind the practice that you do.
Right, yeah, because if you're practicing piano and you're just banging out the piano pieces.
Well, and I've had this thing this philosophy that I've been telling people too, and that there is a difference between practice and performance.
Performance, absolutely.
And you do also have to practice performance, but there's a difference between practice and performance. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying because we've had this long discussion.
You don't like generally people don't go to to Carnegie Hall to listen to the pianist practice. They want to hear the performance. And when people hire you, they don't want you practicing on their dime. They want your performance. They want to see you do what they know you can do. So what you have to do is practice being able to do that on call. So when they say 10,000 hours, the part of it that is a little misleading is that that's only one aspect. You practice 10,000 hours to learn how to become competent at drawing. But there's another 10,000 hours at composition and another 10,000 hours and all those things are split amongst it. And I think it's just a better idea if you just say, I'm going to just do this and not put, this is how many I have to do. Just like when I was writing a young adult novel.
Yes.
And on the days when I said I need 5,000 words, I almost never got 5,000 words. But on the days when I said I'm just going to write the story and stop when I'm done, I always went further than the 5,000 words.
Way further, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's very important to realize that anything that you're going to want to do or master or become competent at is not a matter of doing it for this amount of time.
You're not drawing for 10,000 hours. You also have composition. And we had and how many other aspects? Color theory and this and that.
You have to put in all that time in all those different areas. And so some of them can happen simultaneously, right? Because when you draw, you can also compose. But they all need time. And the idea is that you need to fall in love with the process itself. Yes. So you don't tell yourself, how long do I have to draw to do this? You're basically switch few little words and say, how long do I get to draw to do this, right?
Yes.
And then realize that, like I said before, there's a big difference between practice and performance. And sometimes you do it for fun, and sometimes you do it for real.
Yes.
When you're on a job or when I'm doing certain work for myself, I definitely want it to be for real. I want to know I want to not necessarily know where the piece is going, but know that I can get there because I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I trust myself.
Oh.
Anyway, long answer.
Mondo Daria has asked twice, I think, do you like to draw with mechanical pencils?
Yeah, actually I do. I actually have even
they like to shade with them.
These antique mechanical pencils, which are...
don't let him fool you. He has whole giant, huge...
I have
carriers of mechanical pencils.
I do. I have a lot, actually. Even the 2mm, and I like these Faber-Castell. They have from 1.0 down to 0.3.
Mm-hmm.
And this is fun. This is let's see, what size is this? This is a 0.9 or 1.0 millimeter mechanical pencil. Mm-hmm. And then these Ged's sharpeners. Watch this. See?
Oh, wait.
So it always comes out
over here.
It always comes out flat. Like that. Mm-hmm. And then these Ged's sharpeners, which have a sharpening band on the outside. I mean, it's on the outside ring, so it spins like this. And then you have a needle point.
You keep moving around. Do you have something?
It can get much sharper. And if you do it lightly, it gets even sharper than that.
We can't even focus on it.
But anyway, this is a Ged's.
It is almost.
And that's how sharp. I mean, can you get down closer to it?
It's about as close
as
I can get. It's
so,
pretty sharp.
And that's a mechanical. It'll sharpen it'll even sharpen the 0.3 millimeter.
Yes.
Which you don't really have to do that all the time. But if there's ever that time when, like, I'll use this for a while, when you want like an etching quality to your line.
You like the mechanical.
That's what I do. Or if I'm like working on a blended, like a graded area where there's a tone, then I'll go back in and kind of smooth things out, with that sharp point.
How do you feel about people getting your, you know what, and it's almost time to go, but we'll get this last question. How do you feel about people getting your art tattooed on them?
I feel very, very complimented by that, and I don't mind it at all.
As long as they're not making flash, which you have to get.
In terms of an individual doing it, just send me a picture of it if you ever do it. That'd be awesome. But in terms of, obviously if they're going to make flash and it's going to be a whole big thing, then I have to give, like a written permission for that, or, and usually
Yes.
something else. But in terms of like if you took a piece of my work you printed out from online to a tattoo artist, you would have my permission to have it tattooed on you if that's the kind of question you're
Or
asking.
you can buy a print.
Yeah, or you could buy a print, but you don't have to. I mean,
Not supposed to be
they're going to be
printing shit out
they're
from
going to
the
be
internet.
they're going to be well, yeah, but I mean, be realistic. If it's on the internet, it's there, and people have. I print stuff out I find on the internet too. But if I want the real thing, I buy the real thing. And if you're going to spend $1,000 on a tattoo, you're probably going to want something that's fairly high resolution anyway. But the stuff that I have online is not very high resolution.
No,
but
it's 72. You're not going to get the
I'm not
detail.
encouraging anyone to steal anything. I'm saying that I give people permission to use my work in tattoos. I don't mind that.
That is true.
Okay.
All right, our YouTube channel is at AllenWilliams Studio, and our website is up and functional, and it's new. It is AllenWilliamsStudio.com. You can catch us on Patreon at patreon.com/AllenWilliams. We are here on Instagram. If you're here, obviously and the same name is going to be our Twitch channel, and we're going to take a day out to stream.
We do have one test up on Twitch right now. It's not much.
It's us going, is this recording? Is this a test? Yes, don't say anything rude.
Is this thing on?
Hello. You guys have a good night, and draw something, create something, paint something, tattoo something.
Yeah.
Sew something, whatever you want to do. Cook something.
If you go through some of the people that I follow on Instagram, there's some really beautiful, incredible tattoo artists out there that you should be looking at too.
Oh yeah. Oh, you are welcome. Someone said thanks, Alan and wife.
Oh,
I'm Vicky.
That's Vicky. Yeah.
Or Victoria, if you owe me money.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. All right, you guys have a good night, and Design Avocado. We like your light pad.
Thank you.
Very cool.
And this will be up on I guess on the feed for a while.
Yep, it'll be up there, and then we'll put it up on YouTube. I'm a little behind.
All right.
Talk to you guys later.
Thanks for stopping by.